Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Dakota, the place where we unpack them all and try to find the funny in the footnotes. Today we're diving into Pasithea Therapeutics Corp's latest proxy statement, and let me tell you, it's got more twists and turns than a corporate labyrinth. Get ready to decode a potentially significant restructuring and a plea for more shareholder trust. Pasithea Therapeutics Corp 6 Grow Therapeutics. Alright, so why are we all here today? Well, Pasithea Therapeutics Corp is calling its annual meeting for September 3rd, 2025, and they've got big plans. We're talking about electing directors, ratifying their accounting firm, and get this, approving an amendment to their stock incentive plan, and the pretty big one, a reverse stock split. Scroll Board is providing these advocacy materials to you in connection with our annual meeting scroll. First up, let's talk about the nuts and bolts of this meeting. It's a virtual meeting, so no fancy ballrooms here. You can attend online, but you'll need your control number from your proxy card, which you can find in that nice shaded box. Seriously though, if you plan to vote, remember your proxy is your vote, so don't throw it away. Scroll, what proposals will be voted on at the annual SPO meeting? Joke, they are voting on four main things. 1. Electing directors. 2. Appointing their accounting firm CBIZ. 3. They want to add a bunch more shares to their 2023 stock incentive plan, which is essentially an in-house stock option program for employees. And 4. The biggie, a reverse stock split. Scroll, why is the company holding a virtual annual speech? They're holding this virtual meeting to save costs and make it easier for everyone to join from anywhere. Plus, it reduces their environmental impact, which is always a nice touch. You can vote all the shares you owned as of July 7th, 2025. That gives you 1 vote per share. Each share gets 1 vote, and there's no cumulative voting, which means you can't spread your votes around to boost one director. Scroll, what is the difference between being a stockholder at OS of record and a beneficial owner? Scroll, this is pretty straightforward. If your shares are in your name, you're a stockholder of record. If they're held by a bank or a broker, your beneficial owners need to tell their broker how to vote. You can vote during the meeting online, by phone, or by mail with your proxy card. Just make sure it gets there on time. Broker non-votes happen when your broker doesn't have instructions from you on how to vote for non-routine matters. It's super important to give your broker your voting instructions for proposals like director elections and the stock plan amendment, because brokers can't vote on those without your input. For routine matters like approving the accounting firm, they can vote your vote. Thwarting the accounting firm, they can vote your shares even if you don't. Absolutely, you can change your vote anytime before the meeting by submitting a new proxy online, by phone, or by mail, or by attending the meeting and voting there. You can attend the virtual meeting at www.virtualshareholdermeeting.com, KESTTA 2025. Just log in with your control number. Scroll, does the board recommend that I too vote? Screw. The board is recommending a vote for all proposals. For directors, for ratifying CBIZ, for approving the stock plan amendment, and for the reverse stock split. Scroll, what constitutes a quorum for the annual TO meet? Scroll, is basically enough shares represented to make the meeting official. 1/3 of all shares need to be there in person or by proxy. Abstentions and broker non-votes count towards this quorum. Scroll, what vote is required to approve the election? OS of directors. Scroll, PED directors are elected by a plurality of the votes cast. This means the nominees with the most votes win. Not voting for a nominee or withholding your vote doesn't actually count against them. Scroll, what vote is required to ratify the selection trade of CBIZ, the company's independent registered public accounting firm for fiscal year 2025? Scroll, this one needs a majority of the votes cast to pass. Abstentions and broker non-votes won't affect the outcome here. Scroll, what vote is required for the approval for the 2023 incentive plan amendment proposed goals? This also needs a majority of the votes cast to be approved, so if enough people vote yes, it passes. Scroll, what vote is required for the approval of KEVV reverse split proposal? Same deal here. A majority of votes cast is needed. Now let's get to the nitty-gritty of proposal 3, the amendment to the 2023 incentive plan. They want to increase the total shares available for issuance under this plan from 264,220 to 1 shares. That's a massive jump, and they're saying it's crucial for attracting and retaining talent, especially given their current liquidity position. Basically, they need more shares to incentivize employees or they risk losing them. If this proposal doesn't pass, the company will still operate the plan, but with a much smaller pool of shares. This could really hurt their ability to grow if they can't compete for talent. As of July 7th, 2025, they only had about 174,153 shares left available for future grants. That's not a lot, especially for a growing company. The proposed amendment would give them a lot more breathing room, but it also means more dilution for existing shareholders if all those shares are handed out. So what's the tax impact for employees of getting stock options or restricted stock units? Well, generally they'll pay ordinary income tax when they exercise or when restrictions are lifted, but there are some complexities with incentive stock options and alternative minimum taxes. The company also gets a tax deduction when employees recognize income from these awards. And then there's proposal for the reverse stock split. Pasithea received a notice from Nasdaq in June 2025 because their stock price was below $1.00. They have until December 22nd, 2025 to fix this. A reverse stock split is basically combining existing shares into fewer but more valuable shares. They're asking for approval for a split ratio anywhere from 1-for-2 to 1-for-20. The board will decide the exact ratio. The main goal here is to avoid being delisted from Nasdaq. If they get delisted, their stock could trade on over-the-counter markets, which is generally much less liquid and can hurt investor confidence. They believe the split will boost the stock price and make it more attractive to a wider range of investors. However, they also warn that the split might not work as planned and the stock price could still fall, or they might be delisted for other reasons. An interesting side effect of the reverse split is that it increases the number of authorized but unissued shares. This could be used to fend off unwanted takeover bids by diluting a potential acquirer's stake. But they say there are no current plans for this. Let's look at the numbers if they do this reverse split. With their current stock price of around 71.666 as of July 7th, 2025. A 1-for-10 split would theoretically bring their share price up to about 7.16. But here's the kicker, they recently did a 1-for-20 split in January 2024. Nasdaq rules are now stricter, and if they do another split and fail to meet the minimum bid price again, within a year they could be delisted without any further compliance period. This is a serious risk. If you own a fraction of a share after the split, you won't get that fractional share. Instead, you'll be paid cash for it based on the average closing price for 5 days before the split. This could also lead to more people owning odd lots of shares which are harder to sell. Now let's touch on stockholder proposals. If you want to put a proposal in their next year's proxy statement, you need to get it to them by March 2026. And if you want to nominate a director, you'll need to provide specific information under Rule 14A19 by July 5th, 2026. Scroll what vote is required for the approval of 2023 Incentive Plan Amendment Proposal Scroll. Remember, both the stock plan expansion and the reverse split need a majority of the votes cast to pass. So what's my take on this whole situation? Well, Pasithea is clearly in a tough spot trying to meet Nasdaq's listing requirements. The reverse stock split is a necessary evil, perhaps, to keep them listed, but it's a risky maneuver, especially with the new Nasdaq rules. They're also trying to keep their team motivated with more stock options, which is standard practice, but it means more shares outstanding and potential dilution for existing shareholders. The company is trying to grow, but it's a delicate balancing act between keeping investors happy and securing the resources to actually achieve that growth. The real story here is whether these moves will actually improve their stock price and business health, or just be a temporary fix. Alright, that's our deep dive into Pasithea Therapeutics Corp's proxy statement. What do you think about their plans for a reverse stock split and the increased stock options? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this breakdown helpful, please hit that like button and subscribe for more corporate insights. And don't forget to join our Discord community for even more discussions linked in the description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.